Hello, leader. If you're one of those leaders who's focused on growth and preparing for the future, you'll want to get the download that comes along with today's episode. Why? Well, when you're in a critical growth situation, it helps to have a way to spot the leaders on your team so that you can revisit their work plan and revise the responsibilities based on the skills and behaviors that they show up with every day. Today, I'm going to share a tool with you that we use extensively in the Leadership Lab to spot our leaders. People who are enrolled in our Team Leader program use this tool to gauge their own effectiveness as they grow their leadership skills. And take note before we begin, size does not matter, nor does having a brick and mortar business versus an online business. Every CEO of a small business needs and deserves to have a few key leadership roles built into their team structure. Don't believe me? Well, you will after you tune in today. Welcome to the Stacking Your Team podcast. There's no doubt about it. You are in the right place because this show is all about expanding your leadership and team impact through proven tools and strategies that work well for you, that service-based small business owner. You don't have an in-house training and development department, venture capital, or a pool table in the cafeteria, and many of you likely have a remote team. But one thing is clear, you're wanting to improve how you lead your team. So welcome. I'm your host, Shelli Warren, coming to you from behind the mic in Canada, where I share proven practical tools and coaching designed to save you time, boost your confidence, and improve your effectiveness to lead. Let's get into it. For those of you that are new to the show, I'm so happy you've tuned in. And for those of you who join me each week, welcome back. I'm so thrilled that you take me with you as you go about your day. Today's episode includes a great download that you can use to spot your leaders. Think of it as a useful and super easy assessment tool to gauge the effectiveness of the people on your team who are starting to demonstrate their capability to lead. Look, your business is growing, and it's no secret that you can't do everything yourself. So we need to structure your team so that you can transfer some trust and authority over to a few key team members who can lead people, processes, and profit centers. So how do you do that? Well, it starts with identifying who is ready to take on a new level of responsibility. Now, you can use the 11 core competencies that are on this assessment. And spoiler alert, next week's podcast, we're going to walk through identifying how best to leverage your advanced leaders. And it's going to include another download for you. So yeah, you'll be armed with 2 assessments, both super easy to use and super helpful to rate your leaders' capabilities and then have them do the same. Now you've got an opportunity to compare and provide acknowledgement and coaching to point out where they are excelling and where their opportunities are. But for today, we're going to focus on the people who you're starting to believe may be ready to step up into a leadership role. With your Spot Your Leaders assessment tool, it includes 11 core competencies, and you'll see a score there. So you've got from 1 to 5, and you'll jot down your initial thoughts. And by the way, there's no value in giving someone half points. So there's no like 3.5, 2.5. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Okay, let's quickly walk through these areas of competencies that act as evidence that this person is not only ready to lead, but they've already started to demonstrate that they can. Okay, here we go. First up, do they role model team culture? This is a biggie. Anyone in a leadership role needs to consistently lead by example. Why? Well, because leadership means influence, both the good kind and the not so good kind. Habits are formed in the workplace through consistency and people watching other people in action. So if you're considering moving someone into a leadership role, you'll want to be sure that they know your core values that are fostering your team culture. They also need to have the self-awareness to know where they do well in role modeling and where they could stand to improve. Next up, are they trusted and respected by their peers? Another doozy. This is especially important if you're going to promote from within, which is a great retention strategy, but it can come with a few watch-outs. If the person is not respected and has not focused on building solid working relationships with their peers, it's going to make it difficult if they have to be a peer one day and someone's leader the next. Ideally, it should be more like a, well, it's about time response to the news, not a, you've got to be kidding response from their peers. And next up on the assessment, we have this one. Do they meet or exceed expectations consistently? So are you seeing a trend here? All of these are super important for you to consider as you move someone into a leadership role, because they will become responsible for others, and that's nothing to play around with. If they've proven time and time again that they can be trusted to deliver what's expected of them, it will be easier for them to role model and hold other people accountable. Next up, we have this one. Can they coach and provide direction to others? Now, I know you get it that many people are masters in their core skill set, but not everyone can coach and teach. We've all been there when someone's trying to teach us something and we're being a total pain in the butt because we're not getting it fast enough for them. Great leaders can coach and easily switch up their style to match the learner, providing real-life examples that resonate. They're also very patient because they're humble and they remember what it was like when they were learning. And giving feedback and direction to others is an art, a real life skill. For those of you who are parents, you get this. Everyone learns at their own pace, and the more we can break down a task into a story about why it's important to do in the first place, the easier it is for the learner to want to do it and then do it well. Okay, let's keep going. Up next, let's have a look at whether they understand key aspects of your business model or not. Now, you might be wondering, why is this included in the Spot Your Leaders assessment? Isn't it a better fit for the Advanced Leader assessment that I'm going to share next week? Well, why not notice now who's fully grasping how your business is built and what foundations of the business model are working well or may have even evolved over time? You want to see that they know your full service menu and your delivery methods that are creating revenues and building your reputation. When they can show you that they understand how the business works, they are a better fit for being in a position where they'll be upholding your standards right across the team. They'll also be more inclined to engage in decision-making that's aligned to the needs of the business. Alrighty, how about this next one? Do they accept feedback and take action on it? Nothing is worse than having someone in a position of influence and they like to give it but not take any feedback. Oh my gosh, it's just the worst. This is so frustrating for the team because it feels like their leader is above the law, and it's hard to follow a leader who isn't open to hearing ideas, suggestions, or actual input on how they're doing in their own role. The other watch out here is to check for evidence that they aren't only accepting and taking action on feedback you provide, but not on the feedback that comes from their peers or even your clients. All right, let's keep moving forward. Can they be counted upon to find and fix defects? Now, this is something I'm keen to notice, mainly because it was fundamental to our success back in my corporate career. It's necessary for everyone on your team to notice when things aren't exactly working as intended, and then do something about it, rather than walk past it, leaving it for someone else to find and fix it. This outlook is at the heart of ownership, and it's a basic expectation that you should have for everyone on your team. They find it, they fix it, and that includes getting help to fix it if it's not in their core competency area. This is actually a great practice to shine the light on people who have a unique skill set, or what I like to call secret skills, meaning they have this background and experience but haven't had the chance to leverage it yet with you. So finding and fixing defects is directly related to the next assessment point. Here it is. Is this person focused on continual improvement? You see, it's that habit of looking for defects, problems, and drifts away from your standards, and then recognizing that something just isn't working all that great. Now, I'm not talking about rewarding people for creating make-work projects and fixing things just for the sake of so-called improvements, when it really doesn't add any actual value, or it's not a critical enough improvement to warrant the time and the resources it would take to do it. It's all about the basics. Can they see a defect and take action to fix it without being told to? Yeah, that's the key. Okay, we're getting to the end of the assessment. Here's one more. Can they present rationale for decision making? Now, this is a skill set that's directly linked to their ability to see an intended outcome and then know what it's going to take to get there. Often team members have pet projects or a big desire to create something that's meaningful to them, but may not be aligned to the strategic plan or not included in the budget. And this can be frustrating for them. And if they can't tell a story of why they think it's important to do, they'll not convince anyone, including you, to support them. This skill set is also driving the fact that we want our leaders to be able to tell a story accurately as to why they took action, why they felt those steps were necessary, and what they learned from doing it. It's that thoughtfulness, the ability to discern their next best step and understand their own logic. And here's the last one. Is this person curious about other aspects of the business? Again, you might be thinking, this is a little premature. Aren't they supposed to be staying in their own lane and mastering their own core skills, maybe doing some cross-training before they start looking to tack on value-added skills and knowledge? Well, yes, to a degree, but we want every team member to become highly effective at what they do. And at the same time, we want our leaders to show that they're interested in the overall operation of the business. We want them to notice the competencies of others who provide a totally different perspective and outcome, something likely outside their current wheelhouse, because it demonstrates that they can respect and admire peers from a whole different profit center. All right, bravo! You made it to the end of this assessment. Now, in all truth, this assessment should only take 15 minutes or less to complete. It's the comparison of their assessment points to yours that's going to spark a greater, more deeper conversation. I highly recommend you do the assessment first and then approach the individual to see if they're even interested in stepping up into a leadership role, and then be open to hear what they say. If they are curious and intrigued to ramp up their career with you, then give them the assessment to complete. Set a date to reconnect and review your assessment with theirs. And when you do come together to share your findings and open up the conversation about why the business needs this leadership role and why you think they'd be a great fit for it, be open to listening to their fears and their hopes about what this would look like too. Now, you also want to be prepared to tell them a timeline, even if it is 6 months or more out. Be honest about the on-ramp that you'll provide in terms of coaching and training for them too. Be sure to get the download of your copy of the assessment with the link that's in the show notes, and I'll see you next week where we're going to dive into the advanced leader assessment so that you can leverage those leaders who are already leading people, processes, and profit centers. See you then. You know, leadership can be exciting, challenging, and lonely at times, so don't go it alone. Let me help you create the team and the leadership structure that you've been craving. So until next time, remember, if you have a dream, you need a team. So let's get stacking yours today.